shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness. But still, like light, I'll rise.
I refuse to accept the view that mankind is so tragically bound to the starless midnight of racism and war. The bright daybreak.
I know. That's okay. We have one more kind of month coming up because remember we are in Women's History Quarter. It was Black History Month in February. We are in Women's History Month, and April is Black Women's History Month. Yes. Y'all should be very proud of that. I am very happy that we are back at my favorite place tonight to get coffee in the city. We are at Elementary Coffee Co. Somebody said that the lighting looks great tonight, and it sounds great.
Yeah.
But I heard a little bird told me, actually it was the owner, that they're getting rid of this red ball. I know. So I, should we start a petition? How do we get? What color can we get next? But no, thank you very much, Andrea, for having us tonight. This is one of my favorite places to do the show. It is a wonderful community space. I was here yesterday. Vibes are always amazing in this space. Yes. So thank you very much.
Yes.
Okay. We have lots to cover. As I said, we're celebrating Women's History Month, but we also always talk about different things. So different national days. So we're gonna, but before I get to the National Day, we are live. Hi, Facebook fam. How y'all doing? We are on Facebook, we are on LinkedIn, and we are on YouTube. Ooh. Okay. We're streaming. Shout out to the Culture Professional Facebook page. Hi, everybody in Culture Professional
TCP.
land. Yes, TCP. Shout out to everybody in the Black NewsBeat page, which is the page. If you're not following the page, please follow us there. Follow all these pages. We're streaming live from Open Stage's page. Yep, join. We're streaming live from Open Stage. Shout out to Open Stage fam. We're also streaming live. Lord Jesus, so many. There's one more place on.
We got Instagram
and Young Professionals of Color. Where
are we on Instagram too? Or
we're not on Instagram tonight.
Oh, okay,
yeah, we should be on Instagram there, but we're not. But we'll get that back together.
But we do have live chat.
Yes, we do have live chat. And so that's the reason why I wanted to name all those places for streaming. Please talk to us in the comments. Yanni, shout out to Yanni. Will be in the chat room talking back to you. So please go ahead and, got questions. We have candidates tonight. So definitely get your questions in with the candidates. And just want to shout out some folks in the room. The crew is here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gibby's here. Gibby! If you want to blame somebody for why we have the Black NewsBeat, it's Gibby's fault. Always. Okay. We just talked about Yanni being here.
Yes.
Basir's here. He's working the StreamYard.
Basir.
Yeah. We have Breeze here. Shout out to Breeze for Bakar. And we have
you got teaching.
Listen, but let me just tell you, we have the newest Young Professionals of Color Greater Harrisburg social media and webmaster employee. Okay,
Amazing.
He works for Young Professionals of Color. Okay, Mr. Trelawney is here. Whoa. Okay, thank you, Trelawney. And Trelawney came prepared. He has a little social media set up. He's getting all kinds of BTS. Okay. So it is that's behind the scenes for the lay people in the crowd, and he's going to be helping us to really get that together. So thank you, Trelawney, for that. And let's we got stuff to talk about. So let's get to that. But before we get to sweeping the streets, guess what today is?
What day?
What is today? Today is Hump Day. Yes. Today is also National Spanish Paella Day.
Oh.
Now, being a person who loves food, I don't know if I call myself a foodie because I'm also just kind of greedy. I love paella because paella is one of those things that has traveled the world too. So today is the annual observance of National Spanish Paella Day, a rice dish from Spain. Paella has become very popular and is known worldwide. It originated in its modern form in the mid-19th century in Valencia on the east coast of Spain. I didn't know any of this when I looked this up. Hashtag Spanish Paella Day. And I really love paella because it is the food of workers. And at lunchtime, workers in the fields would make the rice dish in a flat pan over a fire. They mixed in whatever they could find, such as rabbits, snails, and vegetables. Later on, for special occasions, chicken was added. So chicken was like the cool thing that you would, the special occasions, weddings, birthdays, yes. Paella has spread to every region of Spain and worldwide using almost any type of ingredient. It goes well with rice. How do you celebrate? Get you some paella today. That's how you celebrate. And I also like most countries in the Caribbean, and we're also going to talk about colonization is also why paella made it around the world. Right.
Fair,
And slavery. All right. We in Trinidad and Tobago, we have paella as well. We have paella. We have rice and peas, chicken. It is a similar dish. And because Trinidad and Tobago was colonized by Spain, and there were so many other influences too, but definitely a period of Spanish rule in Trinidad, we have our own paella. So it's almost every country in the Caribbean that had any kind of Spanish influence definitely has a paella, and ours is good too. And what makes it real special in Trinidad is the pepper sauce, okay? Because that's how we get down. All right, right now, already hungry. And see that what she's doing right there. This is a talk back show, so you definitely can talk back, comments, anything you like, just shout it out. Really, we can manage it. And so I just wanted to tell you about that. And then tonight, I want to talk about our guests. Tonight we have 3 people who are running for office right here in the region. We have Mercedes Evans, who is running for the PA 103rd. Yep. We have Laura Harding, who is also running for the PA 103rd. And we have Mike Obrien is also here, and he is running for PA 10. So you're like, wow, all those numbers, crazy. What does it mean? Well, the PA 103rd is a House district for the Pennsylvania House of Representatives, and PA 10 is a House district for the National House of Representatives with the federal government. So listen, we've got the people who you never know what's going to happen, could be making it through this primary and going up against some challengers to become the next representatives for our region. Wow, we're going to talk to them.
Yeah.
But before we get, yes. Shout out to the primaries, which are on April 23rd. Don't forget to vote, okay? And make a plan to vote as well. But before we get to our wonderful candidates, we're going to sweep these streets. We got some stories to talk about, okay? We'll see what's going on.
Ooh.
We have Sweeping the Streets has been one of my favorite segments. One, because listen, there's always something crazy going on in the world. Real crazy. Bad boy for real. Okay. Can we talk about Diddy for a second? Woo. Woo.
It's getting hot in here.
Because honey, steaming. Because obviously this brother can't stop, won't stop, getting himself into a ton of speculation and trouble. That's quite frankly rather just bad. I mean, I have one house. Second house if you count the YPOC house. But this man has 3 houses in 3 major cities, and all of them were raided this week. They say it's part of an ongoing investigation into human trafficking.
Oh.
And you know who raided the house? Homeland Security. Okay,
Damn.
so when Homeland Security raids your house, these are not just regular cops. They're the cops of the borders. They're the cops of they're the cops of the cops of the cops. So when these cops raid your house, they come in crazy. And so there's helicopter pictures of them, and all the kids was outside and all this stuff, and they in handcuffs. They had them on the lawn. It was quite interesting. Yes. So so Homeland Security went in there, literally ran up on somebody's house. Very scary. And according to reports by CNN and other major news outlets, it's not clear if the investigation stems from accusations of this lawsuit, when his former girlfriend Cassie Ventura made claims of abuse and rape. But there's also another lawsuit, and the person is keeping their name kind of clandestine, and they're saying that they're laying out huge allegations that involve Cuba Gooding Jr. and his son and other named celebrities, talking about how he procured drugs and sex from different minors. It's a mess. It's really, really a mess. And the lawsuit, I think, is over 100 pages long. So this person included video and everything. So we'll see how this shakes out.
Pixar didn't happen.
Listen, literally, Pixar didn't happen. And that's what they say. I have receipts. The receipts are of CVS quality and length. Okay? They are not playing around with it. So, yeah. So we'll see what happens. I don't know what's going to happen next, but it's going to be crazy. So this one is an interesting story, too. Put us in, coach. Now, this story is unbelievable, but also very believable. Because it seems Racism in America has dribbled itself right into the world of high school basketball. Sarah Shopper Ramirez, the former Bishop Manogue High School girls basketball coach, claims she was warned about giving Black players attending the Catholic school on scholarship more playing time than their white peers. To make matters worse, this ousting occurred after a winning season for the girls' basketball team. She was like 16-0 and like 14-1 or something, like something really great. And now it appears that Bishop Manogue High School president Matt Shambari has voluntarily taken a leave of absence following her removal, and who she claims that her dismissal was racially motivated. Now, she's not making it up because guess what she did? She recorded the conversation, okay, where he said, you know, it's not fair if you give the Black students all this playing time, even if they're better, because the white students will get, and their parents will get upset. So that is on tape. So let's see what happens with that. Wow. That's going to be interesting.
Wow.
Still happening in 2024? Yes, it is still happening in 2024. A pitiful ruling. As Black businesses across the country begin to increase, one has to wonder if a recent ruling by Judge Mark Pittman may have set our community's economic progress back. This ruling, which states minority business development agencies, MBDA, is not to consider race and ethnicity when implementing small businesses, services to small businesses. Okay. It's let me read it again, Minority Business Development Agency. Okay. So not to consider race and ethnicity. Weird. So it comes as a blow to many trying to stake a claim of financial freedom and innovation. In a quote given to Garen Keith Gaynor for the Griot, Patrice Willoughby, Senior Vice President of Global Policy and Impact for NAACP, states, "This is not one attack, but it's a series of attacks on measures that the federal government has put in place to remedy. Plainly, Judge Pittman argues the amendment violates the constitutional rights of whites." So, what are our thoughts on this controversial ruling? Wow.
It sounds like another mea culpa.
It does, but this one's a backwards mea culpa because they're saying that, you know, white. Basically, this ruling is really undermining whether or not things that have been established, that there has been a leg up for dominant culture businesses, for white businesses, and they're saying no, that's not the case. This violates the civil rights of white people in the country. So this is interesting. Let's see what happens next. And there's something, here I want to plug the Emerge Her Minority Business Seminar and Expo coming up this Friday or Saturday. And I have to get the right day. Somebody look it up for me. But the young lady that was on our show last week, Christine TT, she is the one who organizes this day. And it is an excellent day of, hi, Matt. Matt's over there taking pictures of us. An excellent day of advocacy and knowledge and learning and education on how to run your small business, how to make sure that you are all, you know, in compliance with various things to help your business grow. So please look on Christine TT's page, and you can also look on her website for the, thank you. When is it? Friday. It is, I was right. Friday. I think it's from 8 to 12, I believe. If not, it's okay. But it is this Friday. Emerge Her, Christine TT, and everyone who's gone to this conference says it is excellent. So please go ahead and put that on your calendar. It might be all day. So, yeah. 11 to 4. There we go. Good. So you don't have to wake up early because I was like, ooh, 8 o'clock. That's real early. But you can get there and please support that effort, especially in light of rulings like these. Love to Philly's new arts and culture leadership. Okay, Philly, we see you. Our staff here at the Blast NewsBeat would like to offer a congratulatory shout out to Mayor Sherelle Parker for naming Valerie Gay the new head of arts and culture in the city of brotherly love. Yes. On the heels of Women's History Month, we would be remiss in not mentioning this appointment given to the 50-year-old Philadelphia native, who is in a recent interview given to the Philadelphia Tribune. Staff writer Kara Santos stated, "To influence and have an impact on my city that I love is a very honorable position to be in." So I thought that was really awesome. And if you haven't been to Philly lately, the arts and culture is booming in Philadelphia. It is amazing. I went to Philly for a facial and to visit some friends, and it was restaurant week. I just happened to do it during restaurant week. And in addition to the restaurants all being lively and amazing, a lot of the restaurants for restaurant week were doing things like music and a small show for restaurant week. And it was just everywhere. It was so alive and so beautiful. And if you haven't visited Philly, it's always a great place to go. So definitely. All right. Well, let's get into some media and melanin, honey. We heard about Diddy, but he's making national homeland security news. But we got to talk about some other folks. Okay. Erykah Badu, Erica, has once again stirred the beehive with her Instagram antics. Okay? The love of my life crooner recently posted a snapshot of Beyonce Cardboard Carter's cover art with a simple caption, igniting a storm of speculation. So she has accused Beyonce of like copycatting her before, so this is still in that vein. Beyonce, adorned with a sash bearing her mother's maiden name and flaunting a beaded braids look, became the unwitting subject of Badu's cryptic critique. Apparently, Badu's closet isn't the only thing Queen Bey might be raiding, am I right? But if you blink, you may have missed the response from Beyonce spokesperson, Yvette Knowles-Schur, who unleashed a subtle counterstrike, a video montage showcasing Beyonce's extensive braids repertoire over the years. So the picture was a braid bangs with beads. This is not an uncommon hairstyle. Okay, it was a braided bead bang when a braided bead look. And we've seen this look, you know, is she gonna say that Serena and Venus? Because that was their go-to.
Right.
Are they copying you too, Erica? So it's kind of weird that she would say that. So this isn't the first rodeo where Badu hinted at Beyonce's alleged style thievery. Previously, she compared her chrome hat choices, suggesting that she's become the unofficial stylist to the stars. She kind of did say something like that. It was very weird. Seems like Badu's throwing shade and it's like it's going out of style, and Beyonce's hive is swarming in retaliation. So she puts up, so after she makes this kind of funny thing, she puts up another post that says, "Jay-Z, you're not gonna stop these people from coming at me?" And it was kind of like, what do you want Jay-Z to do? The Bayhive is gonna do what the Bayhive do. Okay, so very interesting. Oh my goodness, this one is funny. Controversial conservative commentator Candace Owens recently graced the Breakfast Club with her presence, plunging into a black quiz alongside Charlamagne the God and crew. All right, Owens, notorious for her divisive rhetoric, found herself floundering in a sea of cultural references. All the lady said was, "God is good," and Candace said, "What? God's good. God's good." What is the response?
All the time.
And all the time, God is good. That's the response. Whether you go to church or not, that's the response in Black people land. Okay? Yes, it doesn't matter. You know what to say. So Candace is like, well, where's that from, guys? And they're like, Black church? It was very funny. So what was hilarious also is that she got separated from her little show. She got fired from the show she was on with, what's the little crazy child's name? I forgot his name. They let her go, and it's funny because folks are making comments like, well, she said white lives matter, and they said yes they do. Another comment was she said she was advocating for white people's for whites only workplaces, and they said we agree. So I've talked so much about Candace online, but I am not only am I not a fan of Candace's, people have used Candace as their their token Black person to denigrate Black people. And that's the real problem I have with her. Because if you're using her rhetoric to denigrate Black people, and because she's Black and you can use her as a shield and you allow yourself to be used like that, no, that doesn't work for me. So yeah. So even as the first Black woman Supreme Court justice proved elusive to Owen, she didn't know who that was, who resorted to desperate pleas for hints, labeling the esteemed Ketanji Brown Jackson as whatchamacallit. Yet she managed to salvage some dignity by belting out the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air theme song, Small Victories. Charlamagne, ever the diplomat, tactfully noted, she's clearly a Black woman, but we do have questions about her being Black. Yes. Indeed, Candace Owens' performance left us questioning a lot of things, including her grasp on basic Black pop culture, which even the Gen Z kids know. I mean, for real. And Just Hilarious quipped, "When did Cash Money Records take over?" To which she responded, "This year."
Wow. Not 2000, but this year.
It's 2024, and she is 25 years late. Okay, a day late, 25 years late, and a few dollars short. Right. So that was very interesting. A couple million. So besides being completely out of touch, if you ever listen to Candace Owens on the radio or on her, she's got a YouTube show now. She talks in circles. Listen, somehow, and she's also going to be suing Cardi B, okay? Because Cardi B shared a piece of propaganda about her husband being gay or something, which is bad. Don't do that, Cardi. We don't know if the man's really gay or not. We have no idea. So she's suing Cardi. She's up in arms about, she said some really very anti-Semitic things. But the thing about that is she was on that show saying anti-Semitic things, but she had been anti-Semitic in the past. She had been severely anti-Semitic. And I think it's weird that they decided that, excuse me, now that, she has to go now. I don't get what it's because she said that they need to end the war in Gaza. That's why I think it really, in the Middle East, that's what I really think happened, because they are pro that war all the way. And she said the one time she didn't write in, I don't know how long, that the war should end. And they said, no, she's got to go. So that's interesting. All right, former CNN. This one made me tired. Former CNN anchor Don Lemon found himself in a verbal boxing match with Tesla's Elon Musk. Musk's latest venture, the X social network, or Twitter as we still like to call it. Lemon, hoping to launch his talk show on this platform, has had his plans thwarted when Musk promptly asked the show post-interview. He said, and you know what? You're fired. He did a Donald Trump. And in their hour-long spar, topics range from immigration, politics, to Musk's depression and his unconventional treatment, ketamine. I didn't know that was happening. Musk, in his characteristic enigmatic style, dubbed X as the player versus player platform, invoking imagery of digital death matches. While Musk's description remains as clear as fog, he hinted at using X for late night brawls and posting what he deemed as hardcore content because nothing says chill like a virtual duel. And let's not forget Musk's revelation about using ketamine for his potential depression. Because why simply unwind with a cup of tea when you can dive into the psychedelic realm of controlled substances? Musk defended his prescription, labeling it as pretty private, while subtly hinting at his nighttime soberness, because nothing screams mental health like late night ketamine chats. Shout out to Elementary Cafe and some tea. So ketamine, let's just for a second try to figure out what's going on. Did anybody in the interview figure out why ketamine was a treatment for depression? There's
a resurgence of using psychedelic drugs as therapy.
So like shrooms.
Shrooms.
But
psilocybin.
Ketamine, yes. Does ketamine do the same thing?
It's a different kind of psychoactive chemical, but it is becoming a little bit more mainstream.
Got it. Yeah. So maybe it's a good thing, but it doesn't seem to be working for him. So he might struggle to go back to it. Woo! All right, so we made it through the first part of the segment, and I want to tell you about our upcoming events. We like to call this segment upcoming events, also known as There's Nothing to Do in Harrisburg. All right. If you are still hearing people say there is nothing to do in Harrisburg, please remind them that we talk about the show at least 2 to 3 times a month about all the awesome things that are going on here. So YPOC Happy Hour is this month tomorrow at Creative Studios on 19th Street, 5 to 7 p.m. Come meet us there. We're going to be hanging out, having some libations, and also learning about that amazing space. It is an art studio. It's got several photography stations. It's got so much versatility. It's really cute. You should definitely check it out and come hang out with us there. We are still pushing forward with Juneteenth. We got big announcements coming April 1st.
Ooh.
Big. We are so excited. Wait till you hear the announcements. We are so excited. Our retreat is up and running. We have a couple of spaces available still. If you have not been on the YPOC retreat, you gotta come. It is so great. Going to Noble Lane in Bethany, PA, with Aquaba, one of the best times ever. It's such a wonderful weekend. And honey, after Juneteenth, I always need a rest. Okay, so definitely come hang out with us for that. Also look for our gala announcement for Adopt a Classroom. Our team is working very, very hard. So you may have seen all the plethora of debates that we've been having for our candidates in this region. There was one with WITF. Their ABC 27 had one today for the 103rd. They also had one for PA 10. There's been a plethora of community opportunities as well. And you have one more opportunity to meet the candidates and also hear their positions. We will be having the PA 103rd debate. 2 of the candidates are here tonight at Open Stage. Brought to you by Friends of Midtown and Who's Running for Office, which is powered by YPOC. It is April 14th at 6 p.m. That is a Sunday. So, take a little time, come out after church and hang out with us, after church and evening, take a nap and, get ready to hang out with us. Yes. And then Dauphin County Votes, our GOTV event at Midtown Cinema. It's going to be bringing the blackest bus in the nation to the Midtown Cinema parking lot. Black Voters Matters will be in town. We'll be partnering with over 7 different organizations to bring you a great Get Out the Vote event. All of our candidates are invited. All of our electeds are invited. Everyone's invited to partake in that event. We're going to knock some doors. We're going to make some phone calls and really get our community excited about voting. Okay. Woo. When's the primary?
The 23rd.
23rd of April. All right. We have less than a month to go. You have to be registered, I believe, by April the 8th in order to be able to participate in that primary. And if you are registered, make sure that either your mail-in ballot or your situation about voting in person, online or by mail or in person is all figured out. Some folks forgot that they registered at the beginning of the year, like I did. You can go onto the PA Votes website for the federal government and get that information. Don't forget to vote. Are we voting?
Yeah.
Do you have a plan?
Woo.
You're gonna get there. All right, good. Don't be like me and forget till the very last minute to return your mail-in ballot. But even if you do forget, you can put it in the drop box up until 8 p.m. on Election Day, which is April the 23rd. Okay? That's your birthday. That's 2 days before my birthday. I knew you were special, Trelawney. Okay. And then Open Stage events. We are always having, in case you guys didn't know, Open Stage, Black NewsBeat is a joint effort between Young Professionals of Color and Open Stage. And we are in the middle of a beautiful run with Mary Speaks by Angela Polite. You have 3 more opportunities to see Mary Speaks, March 28th and 29th at 7:30 p.m. and then March 30th at 2 p.m. I'll be at the 2 p.m. showing on March the 30th, so definitely join me there. And anything else going on that we know about?
Mary Speaks is part of the Good at Heart Festival.
Yes, that's right.
Open Stage has an annual festival where they produce the Diary of Anne Frank.
Yes.
They have produced it more than any theater company in the world.
24 years this year.
That's right.
Yes.
And then they've recently started adding other events such as Black NewsBeat
Absolutely.
and Mary Speaks.
We had the pleasure of opening up the whole festival. The whole festival this year, which was so great.
Yeah. So and then there is a erotic fan fiction
Yes,
live
coming up.
not part of the Good at Heart Festival.
Not part of that. Yeah, F is not part of that.
That's the Good at Hard Festival. It's a
That was good. I like that. And you guys are taking EFF on the road.
We are taking erotic fan fiction live down to the
Wow.
largest and oldest fringe festival in the United States, down in
Wow.
Orlando.
That's fabulous.
Yes, and so it's the
Fabulous.
first time that one of Open Stage's shows has gone out touring the fringe circuit,
Wow.
and it's the start of a whole new,
A whole new
vibe for
Yes.
Open Stage, taking
I'm
their stuff
so excited.
out. Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Shout out to Rachel Landon, the
Yeah.
creator of EFF, or Erotic Fan Fiction, or F.
Mhm.
It has been, F Live is very cool. It is like standing room only now when you guys do it. I think you guys need to move it into the big theater. That's what I think.
We are talking about moving into a
Because-
bigger space. Yeah.
And I told Rachel when you guys come back from Florida that you should make a big to do about it and like have a big show. I'm gonna be there.
Well, we have our own little fringe festival here in
That's
Harrisburg.
right.
You know,
Coming up.
not only is it coming up in July, but
Yes.
I'm happy to announce that we just scored a title sponsorship
Woohoo!
from
Money!
Zero Day Brewing.
Shout out
Yeah,
to 0 Day.
supporting the fringe at the $25,000 level.
$25,000.
Get on that,
Yes.
businesses, local businesses.
Absolutely.
There's
And shout
plenty
out
more
to-
sponsorships to be had.
We need more money. That's what he said. And shout out to 0 Day, who is also going to be sponsoring Juneteenth. So they're doing big things in the community.
0 Day.
Yes.
Yes,
They're
yes,
amazing.
yes, yes.
They're amazing. So 0 Day, and they also have a great comedy show. When's that coming up again? I
Malik's
forget when.
comedy show is going to
Yes.
be part of Fringe now
Yes, it
too.
is.
We're also going to get Sir Dominique Jordan in
Oh my
there.
God.
But Malik's comedy show, I believe, is the second Tuesday of every month.
Yes,
So, yeah.
second Tuesday of every month. If you haven't been to Malik's comedy show at 0 Day, second Tuesday, and it is hilarious. It's real good.
He's getting big names now.
It's getting
too.
huge
yeah,
names
good.
now. It's
good.
really great.
Yeah.
All right. So that is the end of our first segment. Yay! And we will be right back with our first guest. Calling all members of the Greater Harrisburg community. We need you. We would love for you to join the YPOC and become a part of our leadership team. Would you like to join our board and get great perks and access in the community? Think about it and let us know. We'd love for you to contact us as soon as possible if you are ready. You can email us at info@ypoc-hbg.org.
All right, we're back.
Woo! Well. We are back here. Thank you guys for hanging with us. I hope you enjoyed that first part of the show. We do have some amazing interviews here for you right now, happening right now with our first guest, Mercedes Evans. Woo! Mercedes! Thank you for coming back to the show.
Thank you for having me back and for Andrea for hosting.
Yes, absolutely. Isn't this a cool little spot?
Yeah,
Yeah, I love it
absolutely.
here. Yeah. So you can talk to me. You don't have to worry about them. They're not even there. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I was just going to say your monologue was awesome.
Oh, good.
And that you brought up the paella because there was a little bit of like a cultural clash with my family.
Oh,
My
tell me
mother's
about
side is Spanish and my dad's side's Mexican. So my aunt from my mother's side made a beautiful paella for my Mexican relatives,
Yes.
and they were putting tapatio hot sauce on
Period.
all over the paella, and she was like starting to
She
tear
was-
up
Oh no.
because
But they didn't even taste it yet, and they were putting hot sauce
that's
on it.
right.
Oh, I know.
And then my dad just pulled it, like, now we do this for everything. So like, don't worry about it. So that's kind of
It's delicious. We just like hot sauce.
Yeah,
That's what I keep telling folks.
but it was like it took me back to memory lane to
That's
like
really
that
cool.
one moment.
Yeah.
So thanks for
What is your favorite kind of paella? Now everybody's gonna get this question. What is your
So I don't do great with like shellfish.
Got it.
So probably like on the chicken
chicken
side.
Okay, got
Yeah.
it. I like everything. You just put it in there. I'm gonna eat it, most of it. Yeah, all of it. Yeah, I'm gonna eat all of it. Except for like, I don't like tripe. And some people put tripe in their paella, and I'm not a fan.
Or tacos.
Yeah, I don't like that.
You
I don't
like
tripe.
lengua?
No. Also, no. Also very nasty to me.
Or sesos? No brain?
No.
You're
Also,
like, I stick
no.
to carne asada.
I stick to, yes, carne asada. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's talk about you.
Awesome.
First of all,
Yes.
you were already here. So how's everything going? What's changed for you on the campaign trail since the last time you were on the show?
So the last time I was on the show, it was a day right after I launched. So I think it was October, maybe
Yes.
like late October. And I'm still excited, but it was like super fresh
Yeah.
and new, right? And right now I put in like a ton of work,
Yeah.
knocking doors. I've shared with people that I work full time. So my evenings is, being able to engage with people in the community. It could be, making calls to raise some money, filling out questionnaires.
Yeah.
So the time that I actually get to work on a campaign is usually in evenings.
Yes.
But I feel very lucky. I've had a lot of volunteers
That's awesome.
from both sides of the river step up to help me close some of that like time
So
gap.
close those gaps, yeah.
So folks like that maybe are retired or just have like a flexible work schedules. They've gone to knock in Midtown and other parts of Harrisburg, but
Yeah.
also in East Penn and even Camp Hill. So people were texting me like, hey, we got some signs out for you. So it's just been, I feel really just blessed that I've gotten the kind of support that I have. So
that's awesome. And okay, awesome. So today you actually had a debate.
Yes.
And it was on ABC 27.
Mm-hmm.
And how did that go?
It went well. I got a little stage fright in the beginning, and there's definitely a lot of different setups that we have to do. Sometimes it's live audience. This is my first time that I got to do a TV interview, but like live. So it was definitely like slightly a shock, but eventually I got my rhythm, and I feel like I finished strong. And I got to talk about how I'm not an establishment candidate. I don't do politics full time.
Yeah.
It's not my career. It's just a calling for me. So I was able to share my message with people.
Very cool. Very cool. It was interesting. You guys all looked great. I thought that was good. It was, sometimes TV, can either be forgiving or unforgiving, and everybody looked good. So I thought that was great. So you say that community service is central to your campaign. You just talked about the community there. What are some of the community service projects that you have done that are near and dear to your heart?
So civic engagement is huge. So when my husband and I moved to the Camp Hill area, we got involved with the Camp Hill Democrats right away. So we've done voter outreach, registrations, education, wanted to make sure that people show up to vote and they're voting for someone, right? And that they feel confident in the choices that they're making, door knocking. So just in different ways to make sure that people turn out to vote.
I love that.
And so when I got elected in 2021, Camp Hill flipped from historically Republican to Democrat.
Yes.
And that was all like a huge effort from the Camp Hill Democrats and just some like different techniques that we implemented to make sure that people got out. And the voter turnout was outstanding.
Wow. Awesome. Camp Hill Democrats are some of my favorite people. I love them. They're amazing. And so what do you want? So there's a million candidates that are running for these positions. 5 is a lot for this seat.
Right.
We haven't had, especially on the Democratic side, we have 1 on the Republican side and 5 on the Democratic side. And we haven't seen this much fervor in years. So what do you want folks to know ahead of the primary? And we'll start with that. that question.
Yeah, so I think part of the excitement is because it's a newer district, right? There's no blueprint on how to navigate
Right.
all of like the range of circumstances all over different communities that are part of the 103. And also with Patty Kim moving on to the state senate, hopefully, right? There hasn't been a vacant seat, right, for a little while. I think she was in seat for like over 12 years.
Yeah.
So there's definitely
like 12 years of no nothing. We've had a couple of challenges, but Patty was so popular that, you know.
Yeah, she still is, and I'm hopeful that with her flipping that seat, that things will be able to progress.
Absolutely.
In the legislature.
I agree.
Sorry, what was the second part of the question?
Oh, yeah.
I got excited talking about the...
Yeah, just what you want voters to know ahead of the primary. Yeah.
So I want you to know what I mentioned earlier, that I'm not an establishment candidate. I'm not going to be beholden to anyone but you who are out in the audience, you that are here. And that's one of the most important things, how I can distinguish myself from other candidates.
Yeah, got it. And so tell us, I'm giving you a chance. So I know volunteers is the biggest thing, help for the campaign. So if people want to reach out to you, how can they do it?
So you can visit mercedesevans.com. There's a volunteer tab where you can pick different things that you might be interested in. If you're an introvert, you can help with postcards or text messages. And if you're an extrovert, please knock doors or make phone calls. And also the link to my Act Blue to donate. If you're not able to physically help, we can pay somebody to do it also.
And what's your website?
mercedesevans.com.
Nice. Okay. Anything else you want us to know?
I'm really grateful to have the opportunity to speak with you. You're a pillar of the community.
So they say.
And just that you include civic engagement as part of your monologue and the people that you invite just means a lot. So thank
absolutely.
you.
Well, thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. Mercedes Evans, everyone. And we shall be right back with our next guest. See you in a second.
My name is DeJuan Dixon. I'm known as Juan99, they call me, and I am the founder and CEO of 99 Characters Entertainment. As you know, with the internet TV, Roku has expanded up to 50 million subscribers at the moment, and that's where we give our channel for Try 99 TV for our viewers and for our platform and talents. We host mashups to roasts to puppet shows, community events. We pretty much do everything from touring to local events. We really have a vast majority of different shows. Our content creation group is our collaborative network where we come together as a barter system, and we use different companies partnering together, and we use that avenue to give each other more for our dreams and our goals.
We are back with our next guest and candidate for the PA 103rd, Laura Harding. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
How you feeling?
Great.
This is your first time on the Black News Week.
I know. Thank you so much for inviting me.
It is my pleasure, and I must say you look dashing. You got
you.
the curl in the hair.
Thank
I got the
you.
eyebrows going.
Thank you.
I saw you on TV. You also were doing the debate today, another one of our candidates, and I was like, okay, Laura with the hair.
Shout out to George Michael, my
hairstyle. George is real good.
George.
The George Michael. Yeah. I don't know if it's the, but the George Michael of hair. But yes, how is it going? You are a part of the big race, dun dun dun, for the PA House District 103rd. What is it like being in the sea of candidates this year?
I mean, it's great. It's a whirlwind. This is my first time. This is my inaugural run. So, it's part learning experience, but I couldn't do it without the amazing team of volunteers and the community support.
Yes. Wow. Wonderful. What has been the hardest part of the campaign so far?
The hardest part of the campaign is definitely, I would say, getting signatures, especially because we had that crazy weather like the first 2 or 3 days.
It was not great.
No.
Yeah.
So, but I'm glad they gave us more time this time.
Yeah.
I was like, because last race it was a shorter time period
Absolutely.
to get signatures, but yeah.
Okay, good. I'm glad that worked out well. I mean, folks were very nervous
Yeah.
because when you don't have time to knock doors, how you got to go to the people. So, how do
Mhm.
you do it? And what is it that makes you stand out? Speaking of the sea of candidates, what's making you stand out from the other candidates?
Well, I am truly a grassroots candidate who is actively engaged with the community at the grassroots level. I'm an advocate. Some people call me an activist. I see myself more as an advocate. But I really
it's the only word they know. Anytime you
know.
anytime you're
Yeah.
advocating for the people, like,
Yeah.
and now she's an activist.
Yeah. But I mean, both work. I mean, it just depends on what we're talking about.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I really care deeply about the community, and I love working with my community. It's one of my greatest joys in my life is to work with the people.
And what big things have you worked on in the community?
Well, I have worked on advocating to change the ordinance at Harrisburg City to require that our zoning hearing board and planning commission are live streamed and recorded because there were some disparities in equity and access to attorneys so people who were showing up unrepresented were kind of not getting a fair shot. And so in order to, they also, for the zoning hearing board, they don't post the minutes. Like you have to purchase court transcripts. They have a court reporter. So it's just another barrier for people to be able to
purchase them?
You have to purchase them. Yeah.
Like right now, I couldn't get the minutes. I'd have to buy them?
You'd have to contact the zoning hearing board solicitor and chair and request them from the court reporter, and you have to pay for it.
This is like a barrier to access.
It is. So because of that, because one person I witnessed be wrongfully denied her application without cause, and I helped her get her case reopened. We went to city council and said, this is what's happening. Why aren't these live streamed and recorded? These little tiny boroughs in Pennsylvania can live stream and record, but why can't the capital city?
Right.
So that was one of the biggest things that I think I've done.
Are they doing that yet?
They are. They have been for it's been, I think, a year now or more.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
That's just crazy that's crazy. Because I'm thinking about all the things that go through the zoning board and I'm like, what? That's just wild. Okay, thank you for that. And you have always been you've always been active in the. I mean, as far as I can see, you've been since I've been here, and I've only been here for 12, 13 years in the region. But it seems like you've always been active in some capacity or another. So what are some of your earliest memories of being active in the community, and maybe not even being an advocate or an activist or whatever word they want to put on it, but just serving? And what are some of your earliest memories of that?
I really couldn't tell you because I'm always, I feel like I'm always in something. Probably going down to city council and public talking about something. I can't even remember everything I've spoken on, but there's been a lot. And I remember when we were allowed to post comments on Penn Live. I used to post a lot of comments on Penn Live under a pseudonym.
That was back in the day. You can't do that anymore.
You can't do it anymore. But
wow. And so what do you think in your past, and the reason why I asked about the earliest moments is because I want to know what in your past you think has prepared you for this now?
What in my past has prepared me for this now? Almost my entire career adult life has been as a public servant. But my family will tell you that I was born this way. Like they would tell me either I'm going to be a politician or a lawyer. And I didn't go to law school. Some people tell me I should still go to law school.
It's never too late.
But I've just always been really outspoken and I've been opinionated. And, as a youth, though, it's called maybe precocious. That's the word,
that's
right?
The one.
Talk too much in class.
That's right.
So,
been there.
Yeah. So it's just, I just think it's part of my makeup, really. And I just always, want to be on the right side of justice.
Absolutely. What does that mean to you to be on the right side of justice?
just always doing the right thing when nobody is looking, always standing up for, you know, the most vulnerable, defending the most vulnerable, even if you don't know them. You know, if you bear witness to something, you should speak out. And I just try to live that way every day.
That's awesome. And first, whenever everybody's running, like I was saying with Mercedes, everyone needs help. So volunteers will make campaigns go round. So if you want to tell folks how they can get in contact with you and what do you need?
Financial contributions are the biggest thing right now because now's the time we're sending out mailers and we're, you know, buying campaign signs, but I could also use volunteers for door knocking as well. Just getting the word out, sharing my Facebook posts, social media posts, and lauraharding.com is my website.
Awesome, awesome. And anything else you want the people to know?
I just want the people to know that I will always work in their best interest and be on their side.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you for this. Thank you. It was fantastic. And Laura Harding, everyone, thank you. And we will be right back with our next guest.
I'm just gonna apply some pressure, okay?
When minutes matter, you have the power to save a life. Learn more at minutesmatter.upmc.com.
All right. Yeah. We are back. Thank you guys for hanging in with us. We are going to switch gears a little bit. We talked to some candidates from the 103rd. We are now going to be talking to a candidate from PA10. Ooh, that's a big one. That's a big one. Welcome, Mr. Mike Obrien.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
Wonderful. Thanks for having me. I know it's been a long time coming, so I appreciate this and appreciate Elementary Coffee. Great coffee, great water as well.
Water.
So yeah.
Free water at the Elementary Coffee. They want
So come on out. Come on out.
Yep. They want the people to be quenched. They be giving you water for free. It's amazing. So this is, how's the campaign going?
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I launched back in September and I had no idea what to expect.
Yes.
You know, first time candidate, just retired from the Marine Corps. And, you know, it's now like 6 months later. And to see how far we've come and to see how much support that we have in the community is so inspiring. And,
Absolutely.
And it's great to see. So
that's awesome.
We're in a really good place right now.
I just got to see you at WITF.
Yep.
How did that go for you?
Oh, it was good. It was that and the focus was all on the voters at that forum. So it was good. We spent about 45 minutes listening to the concerns, you know, the top concerns of all the voters. So that was really good. Took some notes there and talked about it a little bit, and we'll take that back with us and change our messaging, you know, to make sure that we're addressing the real concerns for the voters out here.
And what were some of the top things that came up for voters?
I'll tell you the top concern is democracy.
Absolutely.
Democracy and beating Scott Perry, which is directly tied to democracy.
It certainly is.
When you say democracy is on the ballot, like we're not kidding.
Nope.
This time around.
It is not a joke.
Somebody who tried to overthrow our government. You know?
And we're really sad that, you know, that the one thing that people don't know, whether you are a Democrat or Republican, Scott Perry tried to invalidate all of Pennsylvania's votes, which is weird. Even people who voted for him, which is a weird thing. It's just so crazy when you think about that. But anyway, I
6 million votes.
Yeah, 6 million votes that's a very weird thing. And you are from Montgomery County originally, PA born and raised. And you are now in Central Pennsylvania. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So I was born in Philly, raised in Montgomery County.
Born in Philly, okay, nice.
Didn't know that. On North Broad.
Wow.
But then raised right outside of Philadelphia in Elkins Park was the name of the town.
Yes.
So I went off to 20 years in the Marine Corps. Went to the Naval Academy first for college. Met my wife there. She was born in Hanover, York County, and then raised in New Oxford around here in Adams County. So we had a good 20 years. This is the first time we could choose where to live. and it's close to the grandparents, so we get built-in babysitters for our 2 kids out there, which is nice, and honestly, great schools. It's a beautiful area. We could actually afford a house here. You know, if we went back around Philly, we couldn't buy the same house that we're building out here in Hampton Township over there.
Oh, Hampton Township, wonderful, wonderful. And so how is Central Pennsylvania treating you?
So I'll tell you, like around here, and I've had experience all over the world, right? And especially in Philly is where I grew up. But the energy, especially the political energy to make progress here is unlike anywhere else. And the difference is one person like you as one of the other candidates mentioned, as a community leader, you can actually make a difference.
You heard him. You heard him say it twice. Yeah. All right. I'm a community leader, allegedly. All right. Okay. Put some respect on it. All right. Okay. I'm just kidding.
But no, so everybody knows each other out here, and like we just all need to build that coalition to unify and just get things done around here. And so that's what I'm trying to do. That's what my campaign's about. But it's not about me, honestly. It's about us together, collectively doing this.
So I give you a tiny bit of a hard time. How are you taking that?
all good. I got thick skin, so yeah. So you can bring it. No, but no, that's important to me too. It's like you got to face the tough questions. You have to have tough conversations if you want to actually make progress. You can't shy away from that stuff. Absolutely. And so, being a Marine and a fighter pilot for 20 years, we were tough on each other there too. Yeah. So and I was having a conversation earlier. I never had a perfect flight in my life. I'm never going to have a perfect debate or forum. Yeah. Like that just doesn't happen. So you got to be honest with yourself. And we don't have a perfect society. So like, what's wrong? How do you fix it? That's what we got to do. And so it starts with honesty, transparency, and authenticity. Honestly.
Absolutely. All right. I love that. That was a good answer. That was a good answer. I like that. Okay. I like it. So you may have noticed that there are a lot of American flags and Trump signs out here. That's why I was asking, how's Central Pennsylvania treating you? As an ex-Marine yourself, how do you feel about the Republican image of the party that cares about the military and the flag and freedom? Do they own patriotism?
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, that's part of why I'm running. Like, so my wife and I, we were stationed at the Pentagon after the 2020 election. Yeah. And saw the build up to January 6th. The Confederate flags, honestly, the MAGA hats, the American flag pickup trucks. And like that day, there were veterans out there. There was active duty out there that led to the death of, 5 police officers, 150 were injured, and the death and destruction. And that doesn't represent who we are as veterans. Yeah. And I'll say that. And somebody's got to stand up and say that no, the far right doesn't own the American flag. That's not real patriotism. Right. Real patriotism is what I said before, is standing up for what's wrong, making progress here in American society. It's not just beating your chest all the time. So that's what I'm for, and that's what we stand for. And yes, I'm going to be all about patriotism and the American flag, but again, be a real patriot, not like Scott Perry on the other side there.
And so there were also American flags used as weapons, right? That was the weirdest part about January 6th for me. Was you see, Black and brown people already have a very complicated history with America, and then to see the literal flag being used as a weapon, the American flag painted on weapons. Right. What does that say about the state of patriotism and how people believe they should be representing America?
I mean, I don't think they really understand what it means. And I'll be real with you for a second. Like, the American flag to me, that's what I buried my best friend in. And that's what my wife buried her best friend in. So to see people use it as a weapon, it just rips me up inside. And again, makes me want to stand up for what's right and talk about what it really means and what it really stands for. So that's what we got to do and point that out. So that's what I'm here to do.
Absolutely. And you are kind of like Top Gun for real. Yeah. You're like Tom Cruise, but in real life, So why do you think you would? So a lot of people will say, well, Scott Perry's he's a veteran. Yeah. Still have a hard time with that concept sometimes myself. But he's a veteran. Yeah. So why do you think you would be the one to stand up to another veteran? Right. And be successful? Why do you think that would fall fall to you.
Yeah, so that's what I think it's going to take, kind of fighting fire with fire in a way, to where I, from a position of recency and credibility, can challenge him on his oath of office, the oath that my wife and I upheld and that he betrayed, and then take his advantages, his self-stated advantage, freedom, patriotism, national service, leadership. He likes to talk about that, but next to me, I'll turn that into a disadvantage. So that's something that I believe we absolutely need to do in order to beat him. Yeah. And we saw George Scott a few years ago in 2018. He came the closest. He only lost by 2.
Right.
I think that's a large part of it, his ability to kind of neutralize some of that talk on the other side.
I mean, we're hearing, yes, absolutely. Where, how would you turn those things that and it is a bit of a dissonant kind of feeling, because you hear him say those words as values, but it doesn't seem to me as a voter, I'm not connecting it. So how would you turn those into disadvantages? How does that work?
Yeah, well, first I'll call him out on the fact that what he did for his service, he went over there, did one tour over there in Iraq, but his promotion cycle, he was a political appointee essentially. So he gets away with a lot. And so I'll be able to talk about that, but also talk about what I saw in my experience in the military. And that's a different story than you hear on Fox News. And they talk about the woke military all the time. That's a bunch of BS. What does that mean? It doesn't exist. I mean, so my wife's the commanding officer, like 400 Marines. I was commanding officer, like 600 Marines. But it was Americans from all walks of life, all corners of the country, all races, religions, and political persuasions. And we were there supporting and defending American values. And this polarization that you see out there in the rest of society, that doesn't exist, because we're all there. We're unified. We're not the same. We're different, but we can talk about that. And it's actually okay. So I'll be honest, one of our best Marines was a trans Marine. We had openly gay Marines as well. And it was not a big deal like they talk about on Fox News.
That's all you hear.
So, right, exactly.
All you hear is, the gays are taking over the military. Trans people want these terrible medications that are going to bankrupt America, apparently. Yeah. And they shouldn't have. They're not fit for service.
Right, and it's not about that. People don't care about that. They care about your character and your integrity, who you are, and how well you do your job.
How well you do your job. So, that's what it should be based on.
Yep.
So here's a harder question. People like me, I abhor war. I think war is terrible, and we have a defense outfit in our country that is completely, the budget's out of balance. We haven't balanced the defense budget over a generation. And we also seem to be funding very horrible conflicts around the world, i.e., what's happening in the Middle East right now with the Israeli-Palestine conflict. And this is a bit of a loaded question, but is there any military reform, oversight, reining in? Is there any of that even possible? Is that possible for our country? How do we take the spending that is happening? Listen, my favorite line is, for $55 billion, we could wipe out student loan debt in this country. But we don't. We are putting a lot of that. We are funding conflicts all over the world. We are not, in my estimation, really taking care of stuff that's right in our backyard. So I said a lot of stuff. What is your response to that?
You did say a lot of stuff. How much time you got? No, but I'll answer that kind of simply in the sense that, well, what people don't understand in terms of the value of the military itself, it goes well beyond warfighting. And to me, that's not what it was about. It was about people and relationships and building those relationships, not only amongst Marines, but between countries, which when you talk economics here at home, economics are downstream of geopolitical competition. And the way that we win geopolitical competition isn't by war fighting, it's by relationships. And so that's actually what I did throughout my career, working with South Korea, Japan. I was stationed over there for a couple of years, Australia. And more so than that, you look at American society and the polarization, the military is one of those few places where you have cross-cutting relationships that are established and opportunities to build upon that. And so service itself, I think, has value, and you get that from the military, and the other, not only from the military, and I'll point to AmeriCorps, Peace Corps, Climate Corps. So as a congressman, that's what I would like to support and to provide funding to. And so when I talk about military funding, I think the most important part of that budget is for people, again, to create those cross-cutting opportunities that that developed society, so that when we're done being in that melting pot, then we disperse back to where we came from, kind of like me, and you can sing the praises of that message and pass that along, because it's, again, not something that we hear about.
Right.
So I think that
I've never heard of Climate Corps. This is you were saying a
yeah,
new word to me.
Yeah.
What is Climate Corps?
So I don't know.
What is that?
So it's a good question. We'll have to go back and Wikipedia that, but it's basically a new effort to work on a lot of the energy transition opportunities that exist, jobs, volunteering. So similar to that.
I'm definitely going to Wikipedia because I'm
I know.
A Climate Corps. Nobody told me. Who did anybody else know there was a Climate Corps?
Yeah,
I haven't heard of Climate Corps.
I'm glad to hear there is.
And I'd be in the government's business. I ain't never heard about this. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's very neat. But I'll definitely be Wikipediaing. Everybody thinks I know everything. I don't. See how I just admitted that?
Wow.
Thank you. Very appropriate. Very appropriate response. Thank you. Please praise me for my ignorance. I appreciate that. Just kidding. So this is actually, I really actually appreciate that answer, because when I tell you I am furiously scared of what our military does around the world. Like, it makes me so nervous. And I have a plethora. My family has been in this country now for going on 3 generations. And so much of my family is in the military, and they have horror stories. But they know, they know what they signed up for. They do. Right. But you still have to live with the aftermath of that. My cousin was a fighter pilot, not a fighter pilot, helicopter pilot, and she got her helicopter shot down not once but twice, and she's alive, and she deals with the effects of that every single day. My other cousin, he became the highest, whatever the Army is, I don't know, and he drives trucks now, but he has crazy stories. And also being Black in the military and other things. But anyway, we can go on about this. But changing gears a little bit, besides hanging out in Allison Hill, what have you been doing to reach out to BIPOC communities in the district?
Yeah, so I'll say, like, we're not going to change as candidates. You're not going to change things overnight. It takes continued engagement and sustained engagement and building authentic relationships. So you're not showing up just to ask for a vote. And so, like, yes, I've been speaking at churches, heading out to Allison Hill. Actually, Power to the Hill is a really good organization out there that helps drive the vote there. And their mission kind of reflects what I just said, is that they don't just show up election time. It's a continued engagement strategy in order to energize the vote and energize civic engagement. And so, like, that's what I have to do, is be a member of the community, show up at hearings for William Penn and whatnot, and as many of those things that I personally can do as a candidate, the better. And it's all about being a part of the community and not just showing up when it's time for a vote.
Absolutely.
Honestly,
and Harrisburg is, in every candidate except for maybe one, people really focusing on Harrisburg, but this region is diverse. And so York is very diverse, especially the townships that are in the district, in the 10th. Cumberland County, the districts that are in Cumberland. Carlisle is extremely diverse. People don't recognize it to be, but it is. A lot of military influence there as well. Right. So are there what kinds of district-wide initiatives, or even just, it doesn't have to be an initiative, it can just be concerns, do you think, one, are not being met now? And then two, that you really could, from your, hopeful position as the representative for this district, how can you affect district-wide, right? Because Harrisburg, a couple of stats here, Harrisburg or the PA-10 has, I think people speak over 100 languages in the PA-10. There are people from over 100 countries that reside in the different parts of the region. That is a massive amount, and a lot of it has to do with this being in the capital city. Right. So that is an extremely diverse constituency, right? And some people say, well, I had somebody actually say this in all earnest. Well, some of those people can't vote, right? And I was like, you shouldn't say that either. I was like, I literally was like, don't ever say that again. But how do we deal, especially with immigration being such a hot button topic? It is a divisive topic for some reason. We don't think it's, I don't know. We've got this national consciousness around immigration that is scary to me, especially being a first generation American. So how are you thinking about, whatever the issue is or whatever, I don't know, but how are you thinking about meeting the diverse needs of the entire constituency?
Well, it starts with having a representative who actually goes into the communities and listens.
Well,
and
it starts there.
Office actually located where it is needed most.
Yes.
And so that's what I'll start with. And I know there's some really good programs that go on across the district. One of them is a Race and Unity Action Coalition. And so what they do is kind of bridge the gap between West Shore and East Shore. And we obviously know the difference there from a demographic standpoint.
I've actually been a part of their conversation groups.
Yeah, they're really good. And I'll say this district reflects America, quite frankly, because it goes from urban to rural, everything in between. The demographic makeup, again, really reflects America. So I think if we find something that works here, we can scale it up a little bit. And that's why this is a region that is so unique, that doesn't really exist. Like Philly, they're obviously extremely blue already. Pittsburgh, same thing. Everywhere else in the state, fairly red. This is that purple district that has everything out there to give us a model for how to do it right. And so that's what we got to do, is continued engagement over time, and it's building the coalitions. And so within my campaign, I won't rattle off the list of endorsements like others do at times. But I mean, I am proud of the coalition that we built from your.
Everybody's building the most diverse coalition.
Yeah,
so
right.
Yes, I get it.
Yeah,
but
so
I also want to know. but literally everyone's like, we're building the most diverse coalition, and we're building the most. Yes.
Yeah.
But I want to know. The last thing I want to know too is so the biggest thing with the region and with national politics too is we see a lock and step vote with Republicans.
Right.
So if you are able to get through the primary, which we don't, it's I would say a toss up, but who knows what's going to happen? We're still a month or so out. But if you're able to get through this primary, how do you get Republicans to vote for you as a Democrat?
Yeah. So as a Democrat, when I go door knocking, sometimes it's like, the Democratic wife or Republican husband, for example. I'll open the door and I'll introduce myself as a Democrat and get the door slammed in my face. But if I answer the door and I'm like, hey, I'm Mike O'Brien, I'm a Marine running for Congress, so like, oh, sorry.
Oh, you can curse on the show. It's okay. You may not want to curse.
Okay, let's talk about that. And so national service itself is the unifying connection kind of to the other side that I've found is extremely successful. And so look beyond policy, because what people are really looking for, it is, like I mentioned earlier, about character and integrity and trust. And although military, the trust is going down because of the woke military concept, we still have over 60% of a rating of trust within the American public. So I think they still look at veterans as having that. And I'll say, like, that's what it's going to take to get some of the policy initiatives across, which I didn't answer your previous question, is like, what can you actually do?
Yes.
Which is
what
like, I think it's housing and education are the biggest needs.
I agree.
And so, like, because that housing, that's where the transfers of intergenerational wealth happen. It's through really housing and opportunities to buy, business ownership as well. And so those are the things that from the federal level we can make a dent on through grants and infrastructure. Because again, Perry doesn't bring any money here for infrastructure.
No.
So the infrastructure I'm talking about,
That's a huge issue.
It's like fixing the bridges, but also the underground infrastructure that exists and the changes that we have to make here in Harrisburg in particular. So
awesome answer. This one's kind of off the flip. DEI, puts you right back in the hot seat. Folks are in the house that you are wanting to join, actually, are calling DEI, didn't earn it. Earn it. That's a real thing. I swear to God. I swear. How, as a person who has to represent one of the most diverse districts, how are we advocating for, and we heard the judge who just said you can't, minority business owners, you can't consider race if you're trying to work with them. How are we advocating for, and it goes right along in line with what you're saying about how to build wealth.
Right.
How are we advocating for folks who have traditionally not had a leg up? They haven't had it, and now we're seeing all these attacks from all sides. So
Yeah.
how are we advocating?
So good question. I'll say for me, diversity, that's something that has to be celebrated. And I don't understand the attack on DEI, because ultimately, if you're going to be a good organization in the Marine Corps, if you're going to have a good unit, you want to have people from all backgrounds, because you pick and choose the best from everybody in terms of their ideas and diversity of thought as well. Yeah. So we need that. And I'll tell you, over the course of my career, I only ever flew with one black fighter pilot ever. And that was in the beginning of my career. And so I look at that and like, how did that happen?
Yeah.
And it starts at the very beginning. When you talk about recruiting for one, but even earlier than that, and this will kind of answer your question, is the lottery of life shouldn't determine your upward social mobility. So you got to start with, I think, early childhood education. This is where, for me, childcare is so important, but then universal pre-K to start everybody off on a level playing field right then and there. And so that's how you can begin that. But then the recruiting process, again, in my example, fighter pilot, that needs to start early on. You need to see examples as you're brought up, and that just hasn't happened with many different sectors of society, and military and Marine Corps fighter pilots being one of them, but obviously it goes well beyond that in other sectors and other jobs.
Absolutely. So. All right. So where like I said with every other candidate, we know that campaigns need help. So where, if people want to help, what do you need and where can they get in contact?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll say we got a great volunteer corps. So I'll give a shout out to everybody that's out there that's helped us out so far. I really appreciate that. Our website is it's MikeObrienForPA.com. But also feel free to shoot an email direct to me. And I think this is all about accessibility too. We need to make ourselves accessible as candidates and future politicians. So Mike@MikeObrienForPA.com. Feel free to shoot an email there, and if you're willing to volunteer, and obviously there's donation buttons all over the place on the website. So I don't even need to say that. It goes without saying. So thanks a lot for having me on.
Absolutely. Mike Obrien, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we shall be right back with Last Lap. See you in a second.
Call 911. I'm just gonna apply some pressure, okay?
When minutes matter, you have the power to save a life. Learn more at minutesmatter.up.
All right, and we're back. So we are to the end of the show, and we are very excited to have had the candidates tonight. I want to say thank you so much to each of the candidates. You guys did a great job. It's always great to know how people think and what they're thinking about as they're doing this work, because, I get tired of the debates and stuff because it's a lot of grandstanding. You just kind of slip into that. So it's nice just to have these conversations. I hope you're enjoying them as well. And I want to make sure that you remember on the 14th, we have our debate. I just said I'm tired of them, but we do have one. Debate at Open Stage, hosted by Friends of Midtown and Young Professionals of Color, 6 p.m. on April the 14th. And then we'll be having our Get Out the Vote event, afternoon event, at Midtown Cinema in the parking lot. We want you to come out. We'll have food and drinks, some music, more time with the candidates, more FaceTime with our electeds, and we're going to be inviting everyone. So please come out and hang out with us. And as I say at the end of every show, big up yourselves, love on yourselves. You guys are the reason why the show is still going on in this 4th season. Thank you for supporting the Black News Beat. And we will not be back until April the 17th with our last debate, our last candidate series show. So we will have a couple of different events in between, but definitely let's meet me back at Open Stage on April the 17th. Big up yourselves, be kind to yourselves, clap for yourselves, and We will see you on April 17th. Good night.
You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness. But still, like life, I'll rise.
I refuse to accept the view that mankind is so tragically bound to the starless midnight of racism and war. The bright daybreak.